Hello and welcome to Ginny's Gin Livestream. I'm Ginny, and along with my husband Rob and our dear friends Jeff and Amy Close, we founded Ginny's Gin a few years ago, and we've had quite some cocktail parties ever since. So today we are off to Italy, hence the hat, and the reason being is that next week is Negroni week, which was founded in 2013. It was founded obviously to celebrate the famous Italian cocktail, but it was also an effort to raise money for charities around the world. Of course, Negroni Week 2020 is not going to look like it normally does. It's not going to take place in bars and restaurants all over the place. It's going to be entirely digital. And they will also be focusing solely on raising money for all the organizations, initiatives that are providing relief, for the hospitality industry. Our friends in the bar and restaurant business, it's just been, they've suffered immeasurable losses as a result of the pandemic, all the closures, and then they say you have to eat outside, and then they close them again, and it's just been a nightmare. So how many of these places are going to survive, I really don't know. So it's not just next week that negroniweek.com will be accepting donations, but they will accept donations throughout the month of September. So if you want to go to negroniweek.com and help our guys in the bar and restaurant industry, please do. So today, obviously in honor of Negroni Week, I am going to make the Negroni. The classic recipe was supposedly invented at Caffè Cassoni in Florence, Italy in 1919. So it's over 100 years old, this cocktail. It was invented when Count Camillo Negroni asked for a much boozier retelling of the Americano, where he substituted gin instead of the normal soda water. It's a very simple cocktail, just 3 ingredients. Obviously this is gin, and in this case it's going to be Ginny's gin, and I hope you will make your Negronis with Ginny's gin, Campari, and then vermouth. Obviously there are plenty of different vermouths around, so pick the one that you like the best. We have a friend, Marshall Dawson, who makes Giardesca, which is an excellent vermouth, and it's the sweet vermouth that you use obviously in the Negroni. A couple of weeks ago I talked about the martini and the ongoing argument about whether it should be shaken or whether it should be stirred. And there's a similar thing with the Negroni. I did a bit of a poll, and I would say that most of the bartenders I talked to agreed that it should be stirred and not shaken. But if you like yours shaken, go ahead and do that, that's fine. So as I say, I did a lot of reading as well about this, and one of our favorite cocktail books is Death & Co., and it's obviously from the bar in New York of the same name, Death & Co. And as you can see, we've got a lot of pages marked, and we've used this a lot, and it's a really good reference. And what I did is I took it's their general rule of thumb with stirring versus shaking. And I'm not just talking about a Negroni in this, but there's there's arguments about all sorts of cocktails. But our general rule of thumb, they say, if a cocktail contains any opaque or cloudy ingredients, such as fruit juices, egg, or cream, it should be shaken vigorously, they say. It takes a good deal of effort to integrate these kinds of ingredients into the drink. Conversely, if a cocktail consists entirely of ingredients, spirits, vermouth, sweeteners, bitters, and so on, it should be stirred. Why? We all say. Okay, so it all comes down to a matter of texture. With a shaken drink, you're looking to liven up the ingredients and add texture to the drink via air bubbles and emulsification. Or to paraphrase Harry Craddock, who wrote the Savoy cocktail book, very fancy, you are trying to wake the cocktail up, not send it to sleep. Okay? So agitating a citrusy cocktail creates a frothy texture on top, a refreshing aroma, and lightly effervescent first sip. Stirring a cocktail, on the other hand, is intended to chill and dilute a drink without adding any air bubbles. The finished drink should have the mouthfeel of extremely cold silk, smooth over the tongue and down the throat. Sounds fabulous, doesn't it? So I am actually going to, with my Negroni, I'm going to stir it. And I'm sorry, this is for one of our biggest Ginny's Gin fans. is a gentleman by the name of Keith Barnes, and he lives in the Napa Valley. And he says that Brian Estevez, bartender at Angel in Napa, he nails it every time. But Keith's recipe, the way that he enjoys it, his favorite recipe if you like, it uses the, obviously gin is gin, thank you Keith, Campari, and then the Carpano Antica formula. And he likes his shaken and then straight up with the classic orange twist. So if you are going to shake it, and some people prefer it that way, then that's great. Everybody has their own version. Strain it into a pretty cocktail glass, something like this. All right, a coupe or a sort of a kind of a coupe, kind of a martini glass. Anyway, so that's how you would do it if you were shaking it. But in my version, I'm going to stir it. So super simple, as I say, just 3 ingredients. If you want to add bitters or what have you, you can. So we're going to start out with the gin. We're going to do 2 ounces of Ginny's gin. Here we go. I like the easy ones. Okay, 2. There we go. And then 2 ounces of the Campari. And people have obviously done lots of different riffs on the classic, the first version if you like, and you can do whatever you like, because what rules are meant to be tried, tested, and broken, so go for it. So 2 of the Campari. Look at that color. All right. 2 of those. And then the vermouth, which has the herbal, the floral. There we go. And this is probably one of the more bitter of the gin cocktails. And it's not for everybody, obviously. But really just depends on your mood. But there are sometimes that's something that you feel like is a nice Negroni, especially if you're in Italy. Add a little ice to this, and then I'm going to give it a good stir. 1, 2, 3. So keep it going. And as I've mentioned before, when you're making cocktails, you put all your things in the freezer beforehand. So, your stirring glass can come out of the freezer at the last minute. I haven't done this obviously because I can't rush back and forth to the freezer, but so that it's super, super cold and it doesn't, make the drink quickly. And so here I am, I'm diluting it and I'm making it silky smooth. And Ginny's gin itself is a very smooth gin. It already has that wonderful, lush, smooth and round mouthfeel, so it goes really, really well in a Campari. And thanks to a lot of our local bars and restaurants, in the past have often used our gin in their Negronis. In fact, we had one place in Calistoga called Veraison. They actually did a barrel-aged Negroni, which was really fabulous. Okay, I think that's cold enough now. So I'm going to strain it into this glass. But first of all, I am going to put one of my favorite ice cubes in there. Big round ice cube. And I just think it looks really cute in that glass, like that. And we're going to pour the Negroni over the top. Great color. And that ice cube will keep it nice and cold, but it won't dilute quickly and make it sort of too diluted, if you like. So that's why that's nice. And the classic garnish, as I mentioned, is an orange. It's either an orange slice, or in this case, I'm going to do an orange peel, nice big orange peel. And then what you can do is express it over the top of the cocktail. There we go. So you get that. Voila. So there's the Negroni. What was I going to say about that? Okay, well, it's just, it's a fabulous color and it's fun, and it's I like it in the winter time as well as summer actually. So there it is, the perfect trinity of vermouth, Campari, and Ginny's gin. All right, so I am sorry to say today that my husband is in we've got a shower downstairs with the boys, and he's renovating that, and he's just at the very end of finishing it, completing it now, and he just wants to get it done. So I'm not going to disturb him. I'm going to do the second cocktail myself. So my apologies to those of you that prefer the more technical, sciencey cocktails, because I know you're out there, Vincent, and there's a bunch of you out there, obviously. So I'm going to just do another simple cocktail. Rob will be back next week, so my apologies for that. And the reason for my next cocktail, actually, as you guys know, we really enjoy making our cocktails from seasonal products, you know, things that are fruits and what have you. And some friends of ours, the Todays, they brought us some figs, which were fresh from their garden. And so when you're in the booze business, certainly the gin business, what do you do when somebody brings you seasonal fruit? You make a cocktail out of it. So I did a little research on this and I looked up figs, and I have this handy dandy flavor Bible. Honey goes really well with figs, as you probably already know. So what I did is I made a honey and fig simple syrup. So I took half a cup of honey and then half a cup of water, heated it up in a small saucepan until it was boiling, and then I had about 3 or 4 figs, and I just chopped them up coarsely, take it off the heat, and then throw the figs in there and let them steep for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then strain them out, put it in a container, and then that will keep in the refrigerator for about a week. So I got this nice coloured honey fig simple syrup. All right, so this is going to be a shaken cocktail as opposed to the earlier stirred one. We're going to start out, again, very simple, 2 ounces of Ginny's gin, more if you prefer, depending on the week. Okay, so 2 ounces of gin, there we go. And then this one calls for freshly squeezed lemon juice. I'm going to do 1 ounce of the lemon juice. Let me cut this up. And this is a nice Meyer lemon that, because a lot of the lemons are not great right now. We've had difficulties with that, but hey, this one was a good one. All right. And we want 1 ounce of that. It's nice and juicy, so I don't think I'm going to get an entire ounce out of half. We'll see if I go over the other side as well. See? No, not quite. So I'm going to do the other half so that I get that ounce. There we go. There's a lot of pips in this one. There we go. There's that. There's my ounce. And I'm going to strain that because there's a couple of pips in there. All right. So 2 ounces of gin, 1 ounce of lemon juice, and with a simple syrup, it's really up to you how sweet or tart you like it. You could do, you know, if you did an ounce of lemon, you could do an ounce of the simple syrup. I prefer to go less than that. Some people would go 3/4. I'm actually going to go as low as 1/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, just because I like my cocktails fairly tart. So there's a joke there, I'm sure. Okay, so there's my ½ ounce. Excellent. And I'm going to shake this vigorously with some ice. Let's see here. 1, 2. When you're at home, you can use your fingers, right? I think it's okay. Okay, so there's my lid. And you know, in the freezer, it should be nice and frozen and cold. There we go. And I'm just using a mason jar. Rob always uses his shakers, which is great, but this works just fine. So, good shake. Pretty color too. Okay, looking good. So I'm going to strain this into my cocktail glass that has come out of the freezer. And there's my strainer, Hawthorne strainer. There we go. And so this is straight up. And this is the Ginny's Gin Figgin' Delicious cocktail. Look how pretty that is. Perfect match. Okay, there we go. And I took half a fig, I just cut it in half, and I put it in the freezer. And I'm just going to, like that. It's going to go upside down. No, and then up. Okay. Anyway, that's the Figgin' Delicious. So there's that one. Okay, you can see that. And then this one. And Rob's not here to cheers with me, but I'm going to cheers with you guys, obviously. It's been quite the week here in the Bay Area. We started out the first few days of the week with apocalyptic Martian orange skies, and it felt like the end of days. It was incredible. We were all a little freaked out by the whole thing. I think it was like 8:15 in the morning. I come down the hill Everybody's got their headlights on because it's dark and orange and it's incredibly eerie. And I have to say, you know, that obviously what we're dealing with right now is very poor air quality, but there are people who've lost their homes, people who've been evacuated, you know, so if it's just air quality, then we don't have a lot to complain about. But for all of you that have been put out by this and, you know, are dealing with all these things, please stock up on Ginny's Gin. Please stay indoors and stay healthy. And as I say, Ginny's Gin, liquid sanity. Drink plenty of it. Well, you know. Cheers, everybody. And here's the weekend. And stay healthy. Saluti. Thank you, today's. That was good. And I might as well try the Negroni too. Very nice. Saluti. All right, guys. See you next week. And thanks for watching.